Hey everyone, we are glad you are here joining us for this conversation. I have with me the Reverend Casey Waite, who is the pastor at Calvin Presbyterian Church in Annandale, Virginia. If you have been following along with us on Facebook, you'll see that Casey's creative wings are at full bloom, and she is trying all kinds of new and exciting things in this time of social distancing to connect with her congregation. So we're going to have a conversation between the two of us about some things you might want to explore in terms of exciting your creativity. Easy things to get yourself started. So Casey, I'm gonna let you do a quick intro of who you are and how you've stumbled across doing stuff like this.
So I'm a pastor, but I'm also a biblical storyteller, and part of the network of biblical storytellers requirements for the first and second years of certification in this was to have a digital component. So actually, 5 or 7 years ago, I started to think about, why don't people know about biblical storytelling? And the way that I can get the most people to know about it is digitally. So that's why and how I've been doing some of this stuff for a number of years now. So when we've had to switch over, it's been a little bit easier for me than I know for some others to kind of switch the way that we communicate, because I've been thinking about this for a while. And it's not, there are easy things to do that are not that difficult. But I think the first thing that I would say is, whatever you're doing, people are glad to see your face, and they're thankful that you are communicating with them in any way that you're able to. And we're going to have some time to work out kinks and to develop our own ideas and to borrow from other people's ideas along the way. So I think a lot of us pastors are just watching other worship services to try to figure out what's going on out there, and grateful for folks that are entering this creative space. But I also anticipate in the coming weeks, the pastoral care side of it is going to get very heavy. So people should breathe and do what they can. Also, there's probably, if you have a teenager or young adult in your congregation, they're probably able to do some sort of iMovie or splicing stuff together, and would probably be grateful to have a way to help. So if you can't do it, you don't have to do everything. That's the first thing. The second thing I will say is, do not recreate a full service, especially when we all start doing these things from home. It's unnecessary. It's too much. You won't keep people watching after a while.
So Casey, what are some things you can offer people to explore on how they might even just think of doing something that's beyond just, how can I try to format my normal Sunday morning experience onto one person onto a screen? What are some easy things that people could start right away to expand how they're connecting and who they're using when we have to use platforms like Zoom and Facebook Live for worship, Bible study, prayer groups, whatever they might be?
Right. So I've been utilizing members of my congregation in similar ways that I've done for collaborative storytelling videos, where I just text them and say, hey, would you be willing to record yourself, always in landscape? If your whole video is in landscape, you don't want the smushed up, what's the other one called? I don't know. I never tell
Portrait. I have no idea.
Yes, that's it.
This
I never tell people
shows how tech savvy. This shows how tech savvy the two of us are. That like we don't these terms don't matter to me.
Your best line of hope. Good luck, everyone. So I told them to put in landscape mode. I actually made a post on this the other day that I'm sure we can share underneath in the comments of the video or whatever. But and then I say, will you say, let us worship God? Or will you say, will you read the scripture? Giving them short things to do is a little less intimidating. And the other piece of it is, you want people to look into the camera, not in a weird, freaky way, but this is a different format. So if we're just watching, I think some of the tension that we've had with just filming our normal services and what we'll be having to do when we're at home is, if you're looking down the whole time, that's not going to engage people in a way that you really have the power to do. People are exploring all sorts of ways of talking to each other on FaceTime and Zoom. We're having happy hours on FaceTime and Zoom. We're doing all sorts of things. Same kind of idea. You want to be looking into the camera. And I'm going to show you something that is the secret to a lot of whatever success I have with this. It's called, I put it on my iPad, and it's called Prompt Script Pro. It's about $20. I've used it for a while. And you input PDFs into it, and what it does is, I don't know if you can see my screen, but you probably can't.
There you go. It came in.
So it records you while it gives you the reading. So watch this. Ready? God reassures Moses. Let me try it again. God reassures Moses. The Lord replied to Moses, now you will see what I'll do to Pharaoh. In fact, he'll be so eager to let them go. So it moves along while it's recording you, and it looks like you're looking exactly into the screen.
And then things like this are going to happen when you have a house full of kids.
My members are used to that happening actually in the middle of the sermons. I have preached entire sermons holding a 3-year-old. That happens. I didn't yell at her, so we're good. Our dog lost a tooth. Just be thankful that there's no dog tooth fairy. But that Prompt Script Pro will allow you, especially if I'm not a manuscript preacher, but if you are a manuscript preacher, it's going to be hard if you're going like this and looking up every once in a while. Put it in this app or some other prompting app. And you can look right into your iPad or tablet or computer and record a really beautifully delivered message. I think that's probably the best advice I would give on that. I brought this over here. I pilfered a music stand from the church. I hang it on the music stand, and I stand at a distance, and I go. So you don't need I have tripods, I have fancy cameras. I just use my iPad and my phone.
Mm-hmm. So on that, both of us do a lot of these video things. We're for those of you watching, neither of us are on cameras or phones. We're on laptops right now. So it's going to be awkward, but we're going to show you what our space setup actually looks like to film these things. So I'm currently sitting in my living room. I'm not at a desk right now, even though it looks like I might be. Over here to my right, I have a gigantic window. This offers a whole lot of light. So to counterbalance that, I put a lamp right there. Look how close that is. I can touch it. So it offers a balance of light on my face, and it's super close. And it's overcast today. If it was sunny, it would be even closer. When I turn it off, oh, very different story of where the shadow falls on my face. When I turn it on, you see me a lot clearer. You all see this lamp right here behind me? It is not on. You don't want that kind of stuff happening in the background of your video. And I'm able to look at the camera pretty well because my laptop is elevated. And the elevation is brought to you by the good folks at the children's section of IKEA and a study Bible. I pop that up to make sure that the lens is at eye level, so I'm engaging and I'm leaning forward. I'm not this far back to hard to pick me up, but I'm close and I'm framed in the shot well. These are tiny things. This took me all of a minute and a half to set these things up, and it totally changes how you are presented, heard, and seen on your video. And many of us, when we put our laptops on our tables and our desks, you get one of these awkward angles right here, and this is not a flattering angle for any human being on planet Earth. So if you elevate it and bring it to your eye level, you don't have that awkward looking up at me through my nose hairs and my chin. So all right, Casey, show us your quick setup that you've done for today.
Yes. I also have a big, when I close the shades here, I have a big light source over here. So I used one of these inexpensive lamps, and I can adjust how they're angled. And I made sure to not show any of the rest of my house because it's totally a disaster area, and everyone's doing these beautiful organizing things, and I just set the bar low super early. I also, I have I have board games, Explosive Experiments and The Amazing Labyrinth. And they are doing just a good job. You don't want to be so far away, especially because of sound. And one of the drawbacks of simpler editing videos is that you don't get the sound quality universally. But if you're asking other people to participate, send me clips of this or that, give them the same instructions that for what you are actually going to be doing, so that it can sound pretty similar. Tell them to project in the way that they might, if they were having a dinner conversation, or if they were doing it from the pulpit. Just try to give them as much information as possible and ask them to send you multiple clips if you're going to input into iMovie or whatever you're using, so that you can choose what works best for your space. The other thing that I want to say is, we're both glasses wearers, and one thing that is distracting sometimes is glare. So one thing that you can do is, when you're recording yourself, you can take a piece of paper and tape it up against your computer so that your computer monitor is not reflecting into your eyeglasses. It's a very specific tip, but sometimes the eye glare is fairly annoying, especially if you are close. So a lot of people are using selfie sticks for short shots. That's great. Otherwise, it's going to get wobbly. It's not worth it. That's my 2 cents on the selfie sticks. I use them for walking around and interviewing people. I actually just got mine. I've never had one before. But it's hard to keep it still. They will stand on a tripod. It will stand on a tripod, and it will give you a remote. If you get a little remote thing with it, it will do that. But you don't have to buy. You can use what you have. Is
Yes.
an important part of this. A couple other things I would say about making videos. If you are making videos, and probably, again, you will be, because we're going to be doing this from home, music helps capture attention. So I will often put music underneath scripture or prayer, so that the attention is retained. You have to be really careful with copyright. But we actually decided this morning we're going to go back through all of our old choir files from full services to try to figure out how we can input those. We have a very small choir, and I don't know that I see us doing one of those everybody in the choir records their own part things. So we're going to try something different with what we already have.
And that's what we're hoping, is that you all just start to try things. The tips we're giving you are not to make these things perfect. They're not going to be. None of us are professionals. These are things to make it just a little bit easier to engage with, knowing that there's going to be mess ups and the editing's not going to work, or your notepad falls off and you have to pick it up. Those things are going to happen, but paying attention to things like lighting and framing and the angle of your camera, that will only help and enhance the product that we are putting out, knowing that it is completely far from being perfect, or production quality things that we're doing.
The other thing that I was thinking the other day is, I have a number of members who really are confused by all things. My church is mostly older. They're confused by all things internet, very intimidated, but they seem to open the stuff that's in the email. Like if I have a video in the email, they will watch it. So if you're a small church like mine and you don't have a full access to people that can do these, there is so much content already there. You do not have to be content creators. You can be content curators. Find 3 videos and make that a worship service. You just record the call to worship and the benediction and the sermon, and then put hymns from other places in the context of your email, and you will have created sort of a choose your own adventure worship style service. It does not need to be perfect. We have the gift of this is there's so much already out there.
Absolutely. Well, Casey, thank you so much. For those of you on Facebook and the website, you can follow along with what John Calvin is doing. You guys have this on your website also?
We do, but our website is very difficult to navigate. So definitely following us on Facebook would be great.
Cool. Yeah. So check along on Facebook. I hope that this sparks a little bit of creativity for you. If you have questions on any of this stuff, please feel free to reach out to any one of us at the Presbytery office. Casey, I don't want to offer you as a resource just yet, because there's probably she's learning it much like the rest of us are also. But your Presbytery staff is here to help you navigate through as much of this as we possibly can. So keep the faith out there. We love what we are seeing. And we hope that this opens up new ways that we engage with our congregations using platforms like YouTube, Facebook Live, and Zoom. All right. Thank you much, Casey. We'll see you all somewhere online and then in person sometime soon.